where we will not perform any abortions at all. That would not happen. That would not happen. But here, you can do that because you agree with this law. And I think what these battles are designed for is to create celebrities, right? If you stand up against evil Trump, you're going to become famous, especially when you're the mayor of Oakland, which is like you don't have any achievements behind you when you're the mayor of Oakland. So become famous by standing up to evil Trump. That's her achievement.
All right, so Dana, what do you make of this? I mean, obviously it's symbolic. He's going straight to sort of the root of the problem, making an appearance there, talking about this, and it's been quite widespread in terms of the criticism of California, San Francisco in particular, as a safe haven for illegals.
I think it's an interesting strategy and possibly a really good one for the federal government because at this point, they're on offense. And the state is going to be on defense. Previously, it had sort of always been like the feds were on their heels. Well, now, by filing this lawsuit, the state is going to have to show up and try to defend themselves on these cases. And I think, I'm not a lawyer, but I think the supremacy clause of the Constitution is going to bear out. But we know that the courts have been all over the place on this, so I think this is actually probably a useful exercise for us to find out, okay, where is the law actually on it? On the political side of things, everyone gets to rally. So Jerry Brown loved it today, and everyone, the Democrats will love this today. President Trump's people will have loved what Jeff Sessions did, and then they're going to get excited because the president will be there next week, and so it's setting up for like high noon at the border. The last thing I would say is I'm curious about the point of this mayor and the legal point about her tipping off her citizens that the ICE raid is coming. I don't know if it's illegal, but it doesn't have to be illegal for it to sound wrong. Okay, like that just sounds like the wrong thing to do. And if it was like if she was giving a heads up to a drug lord that the cops are coming and there's going to be a bust, that would be obstruction. Because she's trying to help out the drug lord. This one, I don't know where this would actually end up, but it does feel like it's the wrong thing to do.
Okay, Jesse.
Sessions should throw the book at this mayor, because if this happens once and it's allowed, then everyone's going to do it. Like you said, these mini celebrities. I'm glad Sessions woke up. I haven't heard from him in a while. This is good. I think Governor Moonbeam's going to go down here. The law is not on his side. His state is basically preventing the federal government from conducting raids and doing their jobs. They just did a raid the other day. I mean, look at some of these nasty people. 232 illegals arrested. 180 of them convicted criminals. And look at some of the crimes. Serious offenses, child sex crimes, weapons charges, assault. Some of them had been back and forth over the border numerous times. So these aren't good people. These aren't just like regular farm workers that are trying to make a living. These are bad hombres. So keeping criminals in cities is dangerous and dumb. A kindergartner can understand that logic. I don't understand why the Democrats don't get that. States have clashed over issues for years. I mean, over pot, over marriage, over voter ID with the federal government. Now it's over immigration. The difference here, it's about public safety. And let's just pretend something, Juan. If some local gun dealer wasn't complying with the federal background checks when they sold weapons. They said, you know, I don't agree with that. I don't like the database deal with the FBI. I'm not even going to check it. And I'm not going to cooperate. It's the same kind of thing. It's dangerous. The Democrats at least should admit that they're pro-open borders and pro-illegal immigration, because everybody would eventually know.
I see. Well, that's very interesting.
Two different viewpoints, but both in purple ties. Interesting.
Bad hombres. Is it Cinco de Mayo? Maybe you and Trump can have tacos for lunch. I just think this is so absurd. In the first place, the mayor of Oakland is not getting in the way of the law. She's not stopping them from conducting their raids. Not at all.
She tipped them off.
And in fact, no, what she did was she informally learned that these raids were coming, and to deal with the high level of anxiety right now in the immigrant community, and specifically
these poor illegal alien rapists are getting anxious.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on, Juan. These are the people you're sticking up for.
I tell you what, let's have the American rapist. Let's get American rapist off.
We're doing both.
Okay. But here you have a situation where there are three things at stake, according to Xavier Becerra, who's the Attorney General of California. He says that you're not going to allow cops to ask people about citizenship. So it's not like papers, please. If you stop somebody at a stoplight, no, you can't just start asking people that. Two, no workplace raids without a subpoena or a warrant. And finally, no contract with for-profit organizations that come in and grab people and hold them for the feds. This is not interfering with the federal government, not interfering with ICE. This is simply saying local money and local authority understands that, as Jesse said, this is a public safety issue.
It is.
And you want the immigrants in your state, in your city, to cooperate with police and not be afraid
you're not
that they're
going to get deported for dropping a dime.
unfairly.
That never happens.
Oh, let me
That's
just
never,
tell you something.
If you snitch,
that's
not
not
a good
what we're
thing,
talking
and they're going to
about.
keep you here. They're not going
But
to
let me
deport
just say,
you for snitching.
allow me to make my larger point on this,
Okay.
which is
larger point and then
that
legal
I
point.
think that this is a distract. I think one Sessions, who I'm surprised that you're putting down Trump's attorney general, but that's okay,
I
Jesse.
just haven't heard a lot from
Well,
him.
you call him
No,
Mr.
they're
Magoo,
currently
whatever,
in
but I'm going to
rips. That's why
say,
he's doing it.
maybe
He got
you're
the
onto
talking
something.
point.
Maybe he's appeasing President Trump and setting up for his visit next week because he feels like maybe this
Maybe
he
he's
can...
doing
You don't
his
think
job,
Jeff Sessions
Juan.
believes that?
No, I do, but I think maybe he right now is pushing this suit because that's the news of the day, the suit, Dana. The second thing I'd say is maybe he doesn't want people to focus on why his wife got into this country on a so-called Einstein exception. Einstein? Really? She's an Einstein?
You don't think she's smart?
No.
Yes, she is
And
very
how
smart.
about
She
how her
speaks a lot of
just 'cause she's a
language.
woman.
How did her parents get in here? Oh, chain migration. I thought he hated chain, but not when it's him, not when it's
I
his
think
family.
Melania qualifies for merit-based.
Oh, yeah, is that right? Einstein.
I would say merit-based
I think
with
you
Melania.
should get the
Take
Einstein
it
Pretty
easy.
exception.
talented.
Take it
The
easy,
interest,
Jesse.
there still isn't any credible
Yeah.
statistics that talk about how such this issue affects cooperation with police. At least I haven't seen it, and I've been looking for it. The one thing when you said like when you said I'm not a lawyer and where is the law on this, the real winners in all this stuff are lawyers, because every issue that we talk about, it always goes back to lawyers and cases and going to court, and it really is getting boring for me. But I want to add, which leads me to my next point. Where is this going, actually? Is this something that's worth fighting or dying for, to violate the law to allow symbolic or real sanctuary for illegal aliens, of which Jesse points out the ones that are being arrested are criminals? Is this something that you
By the
are
way, that's
willing
not
to
true.
fight and die for? Is this like, do you think this is as big as a fight against slavery or for civil rights or for the women's right to vote? Do you actually believe that you would rather put our country's laws for the sake of illegal immigrants, in which some of them are actually criminals?
Majority.
Criminal recidivist.
You should go check the numbers on this because most
I have.
Americans not only support the Dreamers, they support the idea that the people who have been here, that 11 million population, should be allowed.
I support the Dreamers. We're not talking about that.
But
We're talking about breaking the
even
law.
about the
He's
larger
talking about
group.
a very different group. Let's please distinguish between the Dreamers and people who are criminal predators, that
Oh,
are
wait a
criminal
second.
recidivists, that reoffend.
Remember the argument, Juan, you
Very
use whenever we
different
talk about
population.
radical Islam and you accuse us of tainting all of Islam?
Yeah.
Doing that.
No. In
Yes,
fact,
you are.
Well, but
when we,
listen, there's-
when we talk
What
about
I was just saying to Kimberly was all the people who are here illegally, and I hope you hear this, Jesse, are not criminals.
Okay, well, we're
not
going
all
to say
Muslims
That's
are
not what we're
radical,
talking about.
That's not what
radical
we're saying.
terrorists. That's the argument that we use.
Right. But how about the people, the God-fearing people, law-abiding people that come into this country from other countries and they obtain a citizenship?
Get in line.
Like my father came in from Ireland and served in the military. Okay, then my mother moved over from Aguadilla in Puerto Rico to San Francisco. Okay. Worked hard, worked jobs in the city, worked as a teacher, did the whole thing. They weren't trying to violate any laws. They weren't committing any crimes. So, you know, there's a healthy interest, believe me, on part of the Latino community, of which I am one of the members, to make sure that the laws are upheld in this country. That is the right thing to do, to be law-abiding and respectful of those that want to come in. You can still have an open policy while respecting the laws on the book.
And you have the two best parades.
They are a little unruly, right?
No, they're the best.
They're the best. I know.
I'm all for those
We can
parades.
all concur with that.
You got to watch
All
out
right.
for ICE agents at the parade, though.
Oh, my gosh. Those are Debbie Downer or Debbie Warner. And
You've heard many Democrats over the last year accusing President Trump of racism, bigotry, and more.
He claims that he's bringing people together, but make no mistake, he is a dangerous, unprincipled, divisive, and shameful racist.
The reason he is reluctant to denounce white supremacy and neo-Nazis and Klan members is because he has some level of sympathy for them.
We have elected a bigot as president. What are we going to do about the fact that we have a president in the White House who has on many occasions made comments that had racist and bigoted overtones?
Those same lawmakers are radio silent on racist anti-Semite Louis Farrakhan, who delivered yet another disgusting, hate-filled tirade.
White folks are going down. And Satan is going down. And Farrakhan, by God's grace, has pulled the cover off of that satanic Jew. And I'm here to say, your time is up. Your world is through.
Wow. At least 7 House Dems are known to have direct ties to the Nation of Islam founder. The Republican Jewish coalition is now calling on them to resign. So, Juan, should they resign?
No.
Why not?
Well, first of all, Louis Farrakhan is a cult figure. In fact, in recent years, they do business now with the Scientologists and the Dianetics and all that. Let me just tell you, it's a cult figure. So among black Americans, I think people view Louis Farrakhan as sort of a marginal figure, but one who, if you go back to Malcolm X and the like in the Nation of Islam, has always stood up for black people and promoted the idea that even if you're in prison, if you're destitute, you can be pulled up, and said, in face of racism, black people are good. In fact, you know, where the Jewish community would say that they are the chosen, Farrakhan says, oh, no, you know, black people are the... So it gets into that kind of dynamic.
Okay.
But I'm the only one, I think, sitting at this table who's attended a Savior's Day speech by Louis Farrakhan.
You sure you want to say that one?
It's the truth. And interviewed Louis Farrakhan.
Okay, well.
And let me just say that I think it's such an intriguing thing that you would say, here are people who are complaining about the President of the United States exhibiting racist, bigoted opinions and attitudes, exciting the far right and the alt-right and the Nazis, and say, oh, that's like Louis Farrakhan. I don't think Nation of Islam is standing outside a synagogue in Charlottesville with guns, forcing Jewish people to go out the back door.
You can't call Trump a racist and then hang out with Louis Farrakhan. It's the same thing. Black racism and white racism should be the same. It's both ugly and it needs to be condemned.
Louis Farrakhan is to be condemned for that statement about Jewish people without a doubt.
That's not all he said.
What?
That's not all he said.
But I'm just saying.
I mean, Juan, this guy, it's not just one thing, Greg. He's got a long laundry list.
I think this guy...
You said your piece. You've defended your guy.
Oh, I defended him?
Yeah. He's called white people a race of devils. He's complimented Adolf Hitler. And yet, what the point is, the media coverage only links racism to Republicans. That's not fair. It can.
Oh.
Yes. So the media elevates white racism, and it does essentially their own public relations for people like David Duke and Richard Spencer. And they do that in order to smear the right. But what they do is, and what Juan has said when he describes Farrakhan as marginal, that's the strategy. You say, well, that's just marginal because you don't want your bad eggs on your side of the political fence to smear your party. So you say, oh, you know, we don't take him seriously. He's just a cult figure. But your guys over there, David Duke, he's not a cult figure, or some dude who organized a stupid march. He's actually got real power. Sorry, Farrakhan's been around for, what, 50, 60 years? He's got real power. He's got real power.
What power? Is he endorsing a presidential candidate?
I think, well, he's been pictured with presidents.
He actually was pictured in 2005 with Barack Obama.
Before he was
president. Okay, doesn't matter.
The guy's from Illinois.
Doesn't matter, Juan. He's still a racist. And if Republicans had been hanging out with David Duke, Kimberly, and they had taken photos with him and called David Duke a great guy, they would have been run out of the swamp.
They'd been run out of the swamp, swampy, dripping and all. And but there's a double standard here. So I guess it's okay for the Nation of Islam and Farrakhan to say that white people deserve to die, to call Jews satanic. No. So you have to be consistent and you must be honest and therefore call out both as inappropriate, racist rhetoric that has no place in our society today. So we cannot sit here and condone this as some kind of appropriate free expression when it is racist hate speech that should be called out. So that's why they're saying, look, fair is fair. You do one side to the equation, you do to the other. So when people like Maxine Waters and Keith Ellison and Gregory Meeks are associating with an individual like this, that is inappropriate. Where are their statements? Where is their disavow?
Do you think that they're going to have to pay any price for their association with Louis Farrakhan?
In their where
politically,
no, like in their districts. No. In the media, unlikely. But you remember, I mean, the President Trump was asked however many times, do you disavow David Duke? And a lot of people on the right said, oh, David Duke, nobody even knows him anymore. It is a similar argument that they're just cult figures. That actually should be a good thing. Okay, like if they're actually not having an impact, fine. Like so, I don't know. I don't think David Duke has any power, and I think Louis Farrakhan does certainly have a following. That doesn't necessarily give you power. And I didn't hear Juan defend him as a person. And I understand why you would have gone to the speech if you were reporting on it and you were interviewing him.
My point is that the media should afford. I agree. The best way you deal with marginal racist. They prefer to bury the bad eggs on the side that they are most affiliated with, and then they play the bad eggs on the other side as something bigger.
Greg, seriously. Does the Nation of Islam show up and threaten Jewish people at a synagogue?
They've done a lot of interesting things. Come on.
Come on, Greg.
Well,
you can look it up.
And I think all Kimberly and Greg are saying.
But then again, I am a white devil.
Consistency with the media, the way they treat these.
Well,
vile,
Nation of Islam also recruits prison inmates and dangerous gang members. Okay, so they get them from there to come out then and be militant and spread a vile hate.
As memo, accusations of bias and surveillance abuse at the DOJ and FBI. Here's more from Trey Gowdy and Bob Goodlatte.
What changed for me was the knowledge that there are 24 witnesses that Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General, would not have access to. Yeah, only one conclusion, that's special counsel.
Was abused by a gathering of information from a very suspect source, not disclosing that information to the court, and in my opinion, getting authority to look into the background of an American citizen's life on questionable circumstances. I think that in order to set the record straight, clear what is going on at the FBI, and make sure this does not happen again, we need to have an outside special counsel investigation.
Let me read from
Adam Schiff, the ranking Democrat on the House Intel Committee, says this may help serve the president's interests, but does nothing to serve the national interest. And Kimberly, it is unusual for the executive branch to try to cede ground and power and turn it over to the executive branch. That's not typically how these things go.
The legislative?
Yeah, whatever. I gotta have what do to one equation you have to do to the other.
Yes, I love it. Algebra. Okay, so listen, I thought that was a good statement. The only thing I've ever seen come good out of Schiff's mouth. I mean, that was a nice release statement. It makes sense. He's trying to make an argument against it. But you've seen actually a little bit of partisan divide on this issue in terms of some of the Republicans saying that this is warranted, it should come forward, some of the Tea Party people, etc., thinking that it would be appropriate to get another special counsel, where at the same time you have other Republicans saying, you know what, perhaps this is actually going to be a waste of time and money and maybe not heading in the right direction, going backwards to investigate revisionist history, etc. You do have to kind of keep in mind what is in the best interest of the country, as Condoleezza Rice had so eloquently put forth the other day.
And her idea, Juan, was to try to just wrap it up. This would not be wrapping it up. This means it would be fully exacerbating it to another special counsel.
This would be ratcheting it up. I mean, this would be going the other direction. So, I mean, there's no getting away from what you heard Adam Schiff said, which is that this is not a national interest. I think it would drag it out. But he also said, and I think this is really important, that at this moment it looks like President Trump and now Republicans in the House want to investigate everything but Russia and its ties to the Trump campaign, and the idea that we should be doing something to stop Russia from influencing what's going to happen in the midterms and in 2020. So to me, this is, you know, I think this presidency is a lot of distraction. You always have to watch the other hand. We've lost Gary Cohn, his top economic advisor. You've got tremendous divides in the party over the trade issue and the tariffs. And, of course, you got Stormy Daniels out there suing the president. And now, so this is what they want us to pay attention to.
Well, I think, Greg, in one of the things that's happened as we continue to push tribalism and that nobody trusts the other side. So you actually can't have a bipartisan report because no one's going to trust it, so they're going to push it over to what they want is another special counsel.
Of course, more lawyers.
Yeah, as you said.
Lawyers are like the new toy dog. Everyone's got to have one in their purse. I do agree with Juan, though. This is a distraction, but it's a distraction against a great economy, the decimation of ISIS, North Korea possibly coming to the table in a historic way, we don't know, incredible job numbers from this week. So, yeah, it is a distraction. But it's a distraction against some amazing stuff that's going on. And I must disagree with Kimberly.
No.
I do not believe Woody.
You foolish person.
I know. I don't believe Woody from Toy Story made a good point. He said that, Schiff said that this was only serving the interests of the president. But by that logic,
the national interest.
Yeah, of the president.
No, I don't think that was a good point. I think that was the best he could come up with for his positioning, that it was a well-articulated statement, not one that I ascribe to or believe in.
All right, but I still disagree with you anyway.
Good luck.
Because I believe that the argument can be used against him, that all he's doing is serving the opposite, to work against Donald Trump. So it becomes a pointless observation to say, oh, this is just to help the president. But all Adam Schiff is doing is trying to hurt the president. He's not out. He's out for his party.
A.K.A. Shalou.
Yeah, and the other thing that can happen, Jesse, is that in terms of being careful what you wish for, is that at some point the other side will be in power, and then investigating going backwards is not always necessarily in your best interest.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody cares about that. Everybody lives in the moment, and they want to attack the other side now. I think we should appoint a second special counsel, because the Department of Justice Inspector General does not have access or subpoena power over 24 individuals. So how are you going to do an investigation? How are you going to do an investigation if there's 24 people that you're not going to be able to have access to? And when there is a second special counsel, Juan, why don't they just stack it with Republican donors, Trump fans, and people that hate? What do you mean? Isn't that what the Mueller investigation is? It's stacked with Democratic donors. So you know what they should do? Second special counsel, stack it with Republican donors. You didn't have a problem with that, so you shouldn't have a problem with this.
Excuse me, Woody. I have to say that Bob Mueller's a Republican.
Yes, but he's stacked his deck with all Democratic donors and not one Republican donor.
We talk about good latte.
Good latte?
Good latte.
Good latte.
That sounds really tasty. A good latte.
You want one right now?
What about a shout out for Hemmer? Great job.
He did okay.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm going to move on. More important.
Here's the high point.
We just made a big circle. It's a trash fire.
That it is. A trash fire. The show boiled down to a vacuous cad proposing to a woman after he had previously proposed to, then dumped and humiliated on live television, a different gal. And yes, I said gal.
Sounds good.
I made some bad decisions, but the best decision was running back to you. Lauren, Elizabeth Burnham, will you marry me?
Definitely.
That's a mistake. The second woman accepted the proposal from this snore of a bore because, you know, love conquers all, especially when a producer demands it. Now, that other dumped woman confronted